subscribe! Just like the last video, this video is going to be extremely different compared to most of my videos. It's just actually kind of a normal video. Never mind. Last video was like really just way different. All right. Right now, I'm going to be getting some eggs from the weird tall I'm not going to say all that, but the weird tall demonic creature that craps out eggs, and that's the stock up season item. But I'm going to be talking about my grandmother, the house of my grandmother and my late grandfather from January of 2022, or should I say, passed in January of 2022. It has been 2 years and 2 months since my grandfather passed in, one of my grandfathers passed in, since one of my grandfathers passed away. I'm overthinking, so I'm just saying more words than necessary. It is kind of crazy to think that it has been that long. But anyways, I'm going to make this video, and just a warning to any of my family members watching this, this is going to get a little bit emotional. Well, not from me. I can actually tell the story without crying and all. Like, I'll be fine. But for any of my family members, don't watch this. If you're my family member, you know who I'm talking about. Don't watch this if you don't, just an emotion warning, but you still might want to watch this. Anyways, so I would like to describe the house experience the experience I had staying over their house. So their house is not not that close to my house. It's a little bit out there. But basically what would happen is we would take normally, back in the day, we'd take not even that much. I'd say we go there a strong 7-8 times a year. I remember, normal years, 7-8 times a year, we would go out there, we would visit, okay? We would visit, what used to be called my grandparents' house. Now it's, my grandmother's house, all right? And then the other grandparents, both of them are alive, so I can just call them, my grandparents' house. And then if I'm talking about the other set, I'll call it my grandmother's house, all right? When I went to my grandmother's house / used to be called my grandparents' house, the one whose husband passed in early 2022, every single time I go there, the house is structured different from my house. It's structured in a way where there's a little room, like you don't go in the front door, you go in one of the side doors. There is a laundry room that you walk through, and then you go in, and there's like a small TV room. The kitchen's right there. Then there's like a dining room, and then there's like a living room attached. There's no TV in that room for some reason. There's only a TV in the kitchen room. That's the way that my grandmother likes to have the house. I am not going to judge, all right? I'm not here to judge that. But that's how it is. And basically, whenever we'd open Christmas presents or have big family gatherings or whatever, it would be in the living room without the TV, where we can all focus and talk to each other and all. And then there's also bedrooms and stuff, and there's a nice basement as well. But basically, every single time I visit, each grandparent would play a role. The grandmother would be the one that likes to tell stories and the one that's fun to talk to. And then the grandfather would sit there and like to watch TV, once in a while give really good advice, and also was the one who was very humble, kind. I almost messed up my words there. And would always get something done if it needed to be done. He also liked having a bowl of Chex Mix that he would make, custom Chex Mix. That has been gone for years since he has passed. And I miss that bowl of Chex Mix that I'd randomly dig into once in a while. And I even saw him fill it up, too, in the morning randomly. When I was younger, here's how the routine would go. I'd show up there. Sometimes we'd go out to eat. Sometimes we'd go back and sit and watch TV and just hang around the grandparents and my parents when they talked. I have cousins, aunts, and uncles. Sometimes they would visit. And then towards the night, My grandmother would usually go to bed anywhere between 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. My grandfather would usually stay up till 11. Many times, he would fall asleep on the couch, and then eventually I'd have to wake him up, and then maybe he'd, wake up himself, and then he'd, go back to the room or whatever. Now, the room situation. My grandparents shared their own room. There was a guest room that had a small bed, and then a guest room that had a bigger bed. Since there's 4 members of my immediate family, usually one person sleeps in the smaller room, 2 people sleep in the bigger room. Well, actually, technically, the one that has the bigger bed is the smaller room, in technicality. And then one person would sleep on the couch in the living room. When I was younger, me and my sister used we used to share the room with the smaller bed. My sister would sleep on the bed, and I would sleep on the floor, and then we'd swap next time we went over that place. Then sometimes my sister would sleep in the same bed as my mother, and then in that a bigger bedroom. So then my father would take the smaller bedroom, and I'd take the couch, and sometimes me and my father would swap, but normally give my father the room there. And then even when I was younger, me and my sister used to have these little cot looking things that you could put a sleeping bag on. If you know who you are, if you are about to love the next statement I'm about to make, I had a Transformers sleeping bag, and I used to use that all the time. I was never into Transformers, so unfortunately to me it was kind of just like, oh, that's cool, and not really significant. Like, if I had like a President's AI memes sleeping bag, then I would appreciate that. That's a stupid example. In the morning, I would normally wake up super early, usually 7. I would like to go out alone into the TV room, and then my grandfather would walk out sometimes and just do some random things around the house, or just go out there, do something, eat breakfast, whatever. And then something I remember a lot, the breakfasts were always fun. My grandmother would usually make the breakfast, and the breakfast there usually consisted of eggs. Sometimes there'd be like pancakes. And then like eating breakfast at the dining room table in the morning, there's just something about it that made it so like nostalgic and special. Especially having like, my grandfather, my grandmother, and my parents and sister all sitting there with me at the breakfast table. Now, as my grandfather developed cancer, in his final year of living, he got weaker and weaker over time. But there was one point where he started to have to he would always sleep in the smaller bedroom, so then that was always off limits. So there would only be the bigger bedroom, and then like a couch, a couch or two to sometimes I would sleep on the couch in the TV room, whatever. I remember one random time in that house, I was at the end of the vacation, we were staying there at the end of the vacation, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna fall asleep on this chair. Do not wake me up if I fall asleep on this chair. I just want to get the night over with. And so that's what happened. So I ended up sleeping on a recliner one time, which was kind of funny. Actually, I slept on a recliner at both sets of grandparents' house. That's an interesting fun fact right there. Another thing is that my father started driving my family out a lot more often to that house. Instead of going 7 or 8 times a year, maybe it was more than 7 or 8 times a year. I don't know. I think it was about that much. Instead of going out 7 or 8 times a year, we started going out at least once a month, if not more. Once every 3 weeks, usually, whatever. We went out there 13, 14 times a year. 12 to 14 times a year. So a major increase in visits. It was fun going out there a bunch of times. And I also enjoyed spending time with my grandfather. There was one time where my family did not want me to watch my sister. One time in November 2021, my family did not trust me. Well, they did not trust me enough. They did not think I was old enough to watch my sister for like multiple days. Would they even let me? I don't even know if they'd let me do that now. I sure hope. Cause like, what the hell? If we ever run into a situation where me and my sister need to be home alone for a few days, and my parents send me off to my grandmother's house or one of the grandparents' house, I mean, if they did that on a future occasion to my grandparents' house, the other set, then, you know, that's actually a little understandable because they like to spend time with us, you know, and be like, oh, we can have like a fun sleepover weekend or whatever. But honestly, all I'm saying is that if my parents are still specifically not wanting, if they don't want me to watch my sister over the course of a couple of days, that's just a little ridiculous. I'm 18 years old already. That's just a little crazy. And my sister, she's going to be 16 years old later this year. Like, I think we'll be fine. But anyways, in late 2020, when I was 15, my sister was 13, actually. Basically, I got to go over my grandmother's house, the one I was talking about in most of this video, and I spent a lot of time with my grandfather then too, and it was very special to me. Now, I do remember, like, near the time of his passing, we went out to visit in January of 2022. One of the times that we noticed that he was getting weaker. My parents wanted to get me and my family out there because you know, they wanted me to spend time with him because they didn't really know when he would pass. And then like a couple days later, no, 1 day later, maybe even, like 1 day after like returning home, I find the news that he has passed the night before. So then me and my mother go to that house, and the strangest thing of all is that I had a strong premonition that would happen. I had a feeling that happened, and then when I walked in and I saw my mother crying on the chair, I knew that that's what happened. Ever since his passing, it has never been the same at that place. One thing, there used to be a cat living there. My grandmother did not want to live with that cat anymore. But if my grandfather was still alive, that cat would still be there because my grandfather grew a connection to that cat. There used to be another one that was alive too, but that one passed in early 2020. I believe it was April of 2020, but I can't remember. I only hyper remember things 2021 or later. That's when I started hyper remembering things, okay? That's when my brain got developed and advanced enough. Another thing is that, well, yes, my grandmother's there, the fun person to talk to, but there's no more sitting on the couch and staying up late and watching TV shows with my grandfather anymore. Those times have passed already. The fact that I can never experience that ever again is very upsetting. That I can never sit and watch a TV show of him late at night. If I ever were to sit and watch a TV show there, actually, I have not done it in a while because, you know, my grandfather gave me a lot of motivation to do so because he was like the main guy for that. And now since my grandmother goes to bed earlier, I just like stopped caring. But I am realizing this now. Next time I sleep over there, I will make an effort to start watching TV if my grandmother and father, my mother's usually not there towards the late hours. But it's going to be a lot different. And, you know, the times that I did like watch TV without my grandfather there, it was different. And there's no longer a guy who likes to run along and do everything instantly because that's what he likes to do. He was very humble in his lifetime as well. Very humble, very calm, never got mad at anybody. A very kind person. Another thing I'd like to mention, the garage was a big mess. My grandfather did not want that to get cleaned. I'm not trying to speak bad about him or anything. But ever since he passed, my grandmother then got, you know, me and my father and, you know, some other relatives to help clean out that garage area. And that garage area got cleaned out. And now my grandmother stores a car in there. And I think that's, I think she also got automated garage doors after his passing, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, maybe I think she got them after. And now she keeps a car in there, and there's much more space. And even, like, the basement has been, like, cleaned out a lot, too. And we went through his old things, and, my grandfather used to like to hang out in the basement a lot, too, and that's where he would be. He even had this separate room where there's a TV, and there's, like, a microwave and a bunch of, like, canned foods and stuff like that. Now the couch is out of there. The chair's not even there. The TV's not even there anymore. It's gone. The microwave's gone too, I think, too. But anyways, it's entirely different. The place looks different. It feels off. That place is never the same. I'm still glad I get to visit my grandmother when I go there, but it's forever off. It's forever not the same. And have this be a life lesson to everybody here. If you have a family member, well, everyone has family members, if you have family members in your life, talk to them, spend time with them. You never know when they're going to pass. People die young too sometimes as well. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but people die young sometimes. So make the most out of the time that you got with your loved ones, Don't take that for granted.